So today we are doing week ahead readings for July 14th through July 21st using the Moonchild Tarot Deck. What I like to do is I draw the cards ahead of time and I keep them face down so I don't look at them until it's time to flip them over. And I give everybody an opportunity up front to use your intuition to figure out which of the readings, or if it's a combination of both, will relate more to you. So this is the first card. And I'm going to show them a few times, and you can tune in by taking some deep breaths, by using questions as a divination tool, which card will resonate more, or you're just feeling in. Do you see anything, have any physical sensations, emotional responses, etc., as I hold up each of the cards? So this again is card number 1. And then card number 2. And really what you're looking for is contrast. So if you don't notice any sort of a difference between the cards, then it either means that they're both going to be equally applicable, or that you still have to fine tune being able to get insights. We did last week my monthly psychic development class. I haven't scheduled out my classes for August yet. I usually do that the final week of the month. But if you are interested in developing your intuition more, I have a monthly class that I do on Insight Timer. And I also have, through my business, I do consults. So just kind of one-off ad hoc consults, as well as mentorship. So if you're interested in having one-on-one time, definitely go to link in bio, check that out. So last card, number 1. And number 2. These are reflective, which is why they're kind of doing the whole thing. This is the back of the card. So I'm not going to show the front until I actually flip them over. And at that point, I'm going to hold them up over here. So they'll be up close and that they will not be blasted into oblivion by my overhead light here. So you'll actually be able to see them. And I will show them a few times as we go through. The visual that I'm getting right away, it looks like mini explosions, if you will, because it's not like super disruptive, but they're popping or whatever. But it's also happening in water at the same time. So it feels like it's carrying this energy of there being lots of ripple effects, but there's also a lot of them. It's like a lot of things kind of popping off at the same time. But then it also feels like for some people, depending on where the popping happened, if it was deeper in the water, then it's not really doing that much. So it seems like there's an individual variance based on where in your life these little kind of explosions, surprises happened. There's this feeling of it, things happening, or our perception that things are going wrong everywhere all at once. But like I said, depending on the person, if this is happening in deeper water, then really nothing is happening above the surface. And it really feels like there's a lot of different combinations of options here, because it feels like for some people, that's because what's happening on the surface is what other people are seeing. So it doesn't mean that it's not impacting you, but how you're riding the wave or lack thereof depends on where you are at. I know we're talking about water, but how grounded you are, how deep your well is. I'll say that's a better analogy. So if your reserves, if your ocean is deep and expansive and full, then the effect of these rapid changes happening in a lot of places is going to be lessened. It may not even be visible for other people, even if it is impacting you deeply, again, lower in the depths. It's hitting at your core somewhere. It's just other people can't see it. So that's what I'm getting at, that there's a few different options for people that, depending on how high up it is, how close it is to the water surface, is people's ability to see it and perceive that you're rattled. And then separately or in tandem, depending on the person. It's representing the area of life. So things that are a little bit more minor, more trivial, end up being easier fixes, not big of a deal, versus things that are deeper, that are a little bit more visceral. If it's over the next few days, and then Saturday, Sunday, going into Monday ahead of the next reading, we're trying to pick up the pieces of it and really assess the damage. So we're saying, okay, well, was it at the surface? Was it trivial? Was I presenting in a way that, other people were going to me to help because they could see that I was really rattled by it. Like I couldn't even hide it. It was very overwhelming for me. Different reflections on that, pros, cons. Or separately, was it happening in areas of life that are really in your foundation, super disruptive, even though it's small things that are quote unquote going wrong, but they're making you really question a lot or reevaluate or have fundamental concerns about things that are so important to you, like your values or your family unit or where you're living, things like that. Again, very, very foundational to the essence of your being, purpose even. And from there, we can flip the card over. So the card that we have is Ten of Swords. Swords cards are about your mind, your narrative, your thought patterns. So what I was just saying at the end there, what's being disrupted or what is it that we're thinking about? Tens are all about the completion of a cycle. So we're getting to an ending point. Really reflecting. It feels like it carries a lot of reflective energy. And I'll just say what else is popping up in this book here. Release, recovery. So I'll kind of go back to the visual because I think the visual in this card is super interesting. So this woman is on her knees, like she kind of looks stressed, but also like, burdened. And she has all of the swords in her back. So I think that's picking up some of the release piece. It's like a weight on her, like all of the thoughts, all of the things that she's gone through, everything that she's thinking about. And I'll just read this quote that I was drawn to. Despite these shadows, the Ten of Swords indicates the end of a cycle which transforms into a new beginning. Although some kind of sacrifice or internal release may be necessary along the way. So this does talk about challenges and hardships, which does align with what I was discussing in the reading itself. Now, how it came across in the reading is a bunch of different little challenges or obstacles rather than some big thing that's super monumental, but we're kind of tired. Like we've been dealing with a lot for a long period of time, and we're ready to be done with the cycle and done with problems. So even if there's things that are minor, we're just kind of over it a little bit. But it's a final push. We got to keep going. And the reflection piece, so I think it's really interesting. This is picking up this release, recovery, ending sense. We have to reflect on, what does it mean to have gone through these challenges, the ones happening this week, and then the ones over, I guess, the last 10 or so months. I'll just read this one last quote my eyes just went to. It marks the transformative power of those brutal experiences that put everything else into perspective. Our mental load is massive. What we've had to endure is a lot, and we want to have an ending. But with any ending, we have to learn, we have to reflect, we have to prepare for the new beginning. And as I mentioned before in my astrology class, I'm going to be talking about the next new moon. And new moons are about that new beginning. So if we're being asked this week to kind of prepare for that new beginning by doing the release, that's what we do in a full moon. This week ahead, which is the 14th through the 21st, we're in that releasing energy we're gearing up to then have the new beginning, and that comes in the form of the new moon on the 24th. Kind of perfect. There's some quote, and it's about lotuses and how flowers having to grow through dirt. So the visual that I was getting was the dirt and the plant or the flower, whatever it is, trying to make its way through and emerging from that to get into the light. So that's a really deep underground transformation process. I think what's different here is I wasn't seeing, a butterfly in a cocoon. It's not the same exact energy as a metamorphosis. It's a little bit more of the rebirth. I'm getting something else about the language. I think I'm just being jumped around here. Choice words. Okay, I have to dig into this further because I'm being bopped around. So what I'm seeing now is we have an iron in the fire. It's like a blacksmith. So you take the tool that is being heated within the flame. Oh, I mentioned trial by fire. Okay, thank you. And then you're hitting it. You are sharpening the tool. You're getting it ready. So it's that kind of. This feels much more like preparation than the first card, because the first card felt like it was a reflection, it was a closing, and this feels like we're getting ready to launch. That's the rebirth. And sharpening the tools seems like what I was just saying with the choice words. So maybe like you're sharpening your vocabulary, you're sharpening what it is that you want to say, like you're preparing what it is that you want to say, what it is that you want to share. So what you're preparing for is long awaited, has been in the queue. Whether it is that you have been putting it off or there have been delays on the part of other people, it's like a long time coming. Or it's completely new and it's something that popped up. Two of Cups is a decision card. Whenever you have two cards, like you have a duality, you have options, you have go this way or go that way. What are you going to do next? Twos being a lower number. Aces would be the full beginning energy. This we're prepping, we're deciding what to do. So that makes sense a little bit with the two piece. Cups being emotions, relationships. So we're talking about communication. We're saying, what are we going to tell these people? What are we going to share with them? Picking up a little bit of that too. And specifically for this card, the association is a little bit of that dichotomy. So it can be the divine feminine or masculine. Like, how are we figuring out creating balance within ourselves? Where are we going from here for this alignment? And of course, on it, we have the road forward. We're moving ahead. All right, just read the whole thing. Okay, here we go. Standing at a great inner doorway, a seeker is seen mirrored in form, offering her heart in the glowing symbol of a cup. This duality reflects the inner and outer spaces that take us along our journey towards love. Part of this is given to us externally through our connections with others, while the other flows directly from our own self-love. Spiritual love emerges from both. So a lot of the self-love piece and creating balance, I was really only talking about it in this reading from the context of, what was happening with you in your relationships. But we cannot forget that we also have a relationship with ourselves, and that's being folded in as well. So that was like the button that they wanted me to put on this. This resonates with me a lot right now. Definitely preparing a speech at the moment I'm struggling with. Oh, no kidding. Reading number 1, we had things popping off in the water. And for you, it may be happening at the surface, or it may be happening in the depths of the water. And where this is occurring depends on and is dictated by the life areas that they're happening in, as well as your reserves, how deep your well is. If the things popping off, the sudden changes, the challenges or obstacles are happening at the surface, then that's reflecting either or both trivial areas, things that are kind of minor, not too big of a deal, could be easily resolved, and or that you're more visibly shaken and rattled by the things that are happening. If the things popping off, whatever's popping off, is happening deeper in the water, then that's capturing either that it's impacting your core, your foundation. So this was coming through as values, home, family, security, things of that nature, or that it's just more hidden from the public. So just because others can't see it doesn't mean it's not impacting you. Cool. And the card that we had for that was the 10 of Swords. And 10s are a card of reflection. It's closing a cycle. So we are aware this week of everything that's popping off, everything that has happened over time, over the last 10 or so months, plus what's happening this week. And we're having to check in with ourselves as we get to the end of a cycle. What are our thoughts on this, Swords? What are our thoughts on this? What are our reflections on what all of this means for us? This is thinking about closing the chapter. We're getting to a conclusion, and it's important for us to release, reflect, and release, because what will come next is the new beginning. And this experience, the trials that we're going through in the week ahead, are to put everything in perspective. And next, we have our second reading, which is a plant growing up through the dirt. So I got a paraphrasing of a quote, every flower must grow through dirt. This idea of choice words, our words mattering, and us deciding and preparing what is it that we want to say? What do we want to share? We're really planning the execution of our language, preparing for that new launch and beginning. And for some, the thing that you are preparing for, whatever it is that you need to say or share, it's been a long time coming. You've been thinking about it for a long time. Maybe you've pushed it off, or maybe it's been delayed by other people, circumstances, things outside of your control. Or it's something totally new that presented itself this week. And the card that we got was 2 of Cups. So this is very early in the journey. It's not the exact start, but we're making decisions. 2 cards are about deciding. We have a duality, we have a choice. And specifically, we're looking at our relationships. We already know, we're wondering, what are we going to tell other people? What are we going to share with them? This is picking up on a little bit of that. And also, we have to recognize the duality within ourselves, the relationship with ourselves. It's not just about us versus alongside other people. It's us with ourselves as well. How can we create balance? How can we figure out what is needed in the steps ahead? This is the preparation. The thing that immediately jumps out to me is that for reading number 1, The visual that I got was things happening in water. The second card was a water card, things happening within the water. And then in the second reading, I was having a visual around language and communication. And I also had the blacksmith piece, which is really what's happening in the first card. So I find it very interesting, clearly no mistake here, that the visuals I was getting were almost with the opposite card. And so one might say, oh, well, did you just like mix them up? No, because these are linked. As we were going through, this felt pretty clearly like we're moving from one into the other. So you could be somebody who is doing your reflection. Things are popping off. Something unexpected happens. Multiple things happen. Challenges, obstacles that you're dealing with. You're reflecting on it. You're thinking about, where should I go next? And then you move here, and we're not just thinking about where to go next, but we're thinking about, what do I want to say? What do I want to share? What do I want to give back to myself or give to others? And we're actually stepping into deciding so that we can do that going forward. So we're reflecting and then we're deciding. So these work very much hand in hand. And that's why I'm not surprised that we had a little bit of, not leakage, but like holding hands with these two readings and the imagery between them. So this is about an ending, preparing for a beginning, and this is about really explicitly preparing for the beginning. So this is like a gearing up, clearing the slate in knowing that the beginning is coming. And this is like, okay, the beginning is like right here. Let's figure out what to do next. And I think what could be a little bit confusing is when we're talking about this Two of Cups, it's like, oh, well, if I'm deciding something, that doesn't mean I'm thinking about it. And so it should be swords. Yes and no. It's the nature of the decisions. And here, the nature of the decisions has to do with the relationships, the dynamics. And it just so happens that what we're going on here, the journey that we're going on, requires us to kind of be up here a little bit in our minds and be thinking. And then we can release that, release what it is that we're holding on to and reflecting, and then disperse it with compassion, or hold the mirror back up to ourselves, because maybe the things that we need to prepare, the things that we need to share, are things that we should be telling ourselves, not just that it's for other people. So to me, this seems like a pretty simple, straightforward handoff. If you're doing reading number 1 or you're doing reading number 2, you have door number 3, which is you move from reading number 1 into reading number 2. Doesn't feel like it's on the table to go in reverse, to do beginning, then ending. We have to clear the slate, and then we can move forward. So I'll just give the example. Something is popping off. Stuff is going on this week. Maybe it's trivial. Maybe it's shaking you to your core. You're reflecting on it. And then you say, okay, now I have to figure out what I want to say. And there really wasn't a timeline for this card. And this one was just probably mostly happening in the next few days. So you would have been given the weekend, which was built into the first reading, to sit and do the second card, if that's how it was transpiring for you. So really no issue. And it feels like it is a natural progression rather than it being super burdensome and exhausting to engage with both of these.